A cold dawn over the Canadian Arctic, a sky tinted pink by the rising sun, and a single fighter jet carving through the silence, faster, sharper, and more confident than anything the pilots watching had expected. They thought they already knew the Gripen. They thought it was just a smart budget jet from Sweden. They thought they'd seen everything it could do. But that morning, Canada discovered something else, something hidden, something the world never fully understood. Gripen had a power no one saw coming and then changed everything. For years, the global fighter scene has been dominated by giants. The United States with its F-35 empire, Russia with its aggressive patrols and Arctic expansion, China rising, modernizing, challenging every border in the Pacific. And in the middle of all this, NATO countries began questioning their long-term defense plans. Canada, stretched thin across the world's second-largest landmass, had the toughest job of all, defending a sky bigger than entire continents. Traditionally, the solution was simple. Look to the United States. Buy American. Stay predictable. But the Arctic doesn't care about predictability. Blizzards don't care about politics. Icy runways don't care about budgets. Russian long-range bombers don't care if your jet looks great on a PowerPoint slide. Canada needed something that worked, in the cold, in the dark, and in the empty distances only northern pilots truly understand. And that's where Sweden's quiet masterpiece entered the story. When Canada first considered the Gripen E, the reaction was almost comical. Experts laughed, analysts shrugged, critics rolled their eyes, some even joked that Sweden made good meatballs, not world-changing fighter jets. And yet, the more Canada studied Gripen, the more something felt different. Sweden didn't build a giant, they built a survivor, a jet designed by a nation that's been preparing for harsh winters, sudden threats, and limited resources for decades. In a world where militaries spend billions chasing secret coatings and complex maintenance routines, Sweden did something refreshingly simple. They used logic, they used efficiency, they used pure Scandinavian practicality. And Canada, almost reluctantly, agreed to a deeper evaluation. That's when the hidden power finally revealed itself. The turning point happened during a test flight meant to measure Gripen's electronic warfare performance, a capability many assumed was good enough, but nothing extraordinary. What the Canadian team didn't know is that Gripen's EW suite isn't just strong, it's intelligent. Built by the same people who defend a neutral nation surrounded by great powers, built by engineers who assume every future conflict starts with the enemy trying to blind, confuse, and choke your electronics. Built for survival in a world where the first attack is silent. As the test began, something remarkable unfolded. Canada activated simulated threats, radar locks, electronic noise, enemy jamming, and Gripen didn't defend. It outmaneuvered the electronics. It bent them, redirected them, turned digital attacks into empty noise. Instead of hiding with stealth, it fought back with brainpower, turning its electronic skin into a living, adapting shield. This wasn't stealth in the Hollywood sense, this was stealth through deception, like a magician misdirecting not the audience but the enemy's computers. Gripen didn't just survive the EW attacks, it dominated them. That was the moment Canada realized they were dealing with something far more sophisticated than advertised, but the hidden power wasn't only in its electronic warfare, it was in its philosophy. The climax came during a multi-role scenario: scramble, intercept, refuel, return, simulate an enemy strike, and adapt mid-mission. A nightmare scenario for most fighters, but not for Gripen. The jet switched roles with unnerving agility. 1 second, it was an interceptor. The next, it was an electronic warfare ghost. Then it shifted into a ground strike mindset, recalculating mid-air, literally rebuilding its brains in real time. Canadian pilots later described it as flying an aircraft that thinks like a team even when it's alone. And that's when the real hidden power revealed itself. Gripen wasn't built as a jet, it was built as a network, a flying command center able to control drones, share data instantly, and coordinate like a digital wolf pack. While other fighters rely on external command systems, Gripen carries that intelligence inside the cockpit. It doesn't just fly, it leads. Suddenly, Canada saw possibilities they had never considered: small groups of Gripens hunting together, roadside operations deep in the Arctic, instant repairs in freezing conditions, a fighter that can land, refuel and relaunch in minutes, not hours. The test ended with silent disbelief, followed by one unmistakable conclusion: Gripen had been underestimated by everyone. News of Canada's discovery didn't stay secret for long. Washington heard the whispers first, then Europe, then South America, then the Indo-Pacific. Phones rang, emails circulated, briefings were rewritten, countries began asking the same uncomfortable question. If Canada, its massive territory and Arctic responsibilities, sees hidden power in the Gripen, what are we missing? And suddenly the world's fighter hierarchy didn't look so stable anymore. So Finland, Norway, the Netherlands, even NATO command structures quietly reevaluated their assumptions. Brazil, already flying Gripens, felt vindicated. Czechia reconsidered its long-term modernization plans. South Africa revisited its Gripen doctrine and found new confidence in it. India noticed too, and paused, thinking, because Gripen's hidden power wasn't about higher speed or bigger engines, it was about freedom. Freedom from giant support systems, freedom from billion-dollar maintenance cycles, freedom from dependence on one supplier, freedom to operate anywhere, even from a frozen highway. In a world shifting toward unpredictable conflicts, that kind of freedom is priceless. The aftermath inside Canada was even more interesting. Suddenly pilots spoke differently. Their tone changed, their respect for the Swedish jet grew, not because it was flashy, but because it worked. It worked in conditions that break metal. It worked in silence. It worked when nothing else wanted to. And the hidden power Canada found wasn't about performance alone. It was about fit. Gripen fit Canada's terrain. Gripen fit Canada's climate. Gripen fit Canada's mission requirements. Gripen fit Canada's need for independence and flexibility. In every category where complexity slows other jets down, Gripen accelerated. By the time meetings resumed in Ottawa, the conversation had shifted from, "Is Gripen good enough?" to, "Is anything else actually better for us?" A question that made Washington very uncomfortable, and for the first time in decades, Canada found itself not following a pattern, but leading one. In the end, this story isn't about Sweden outsmarting superpowers. It's not about Canada shocking the world. It's not about a jet suddenly becoming famous. It's about a simple, ironic truth. In a world obsessed with bigger and more expensive, the smartest fighter was the one built with humility, logic, and frozen runways in mind. Canada didn't just discover Gripen's hidden power. They discovered a new way of thinking about air power. A way where agility beats size, where intelligence beats cost, where adaptability beats prestige. Because sometimes the jet that changes everything isn't the loudest, isn't the biggest, isn't the most hyped. It's the quiet one, the underestimated one, the one built by a small nation with an extraordinarily sharp mind. Gripen didn't just impress Canada. It revealed a truth the world had forgotten. In the sky full of giants, the smartest fighter wins.